Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, while we were playing that last game, I was thinking back a little bit at some of my history of playing these tabletop games, and brings me way, way back. So way back when I would have been probably 8 years old when I got this for Christmas. I would have been around 92. I got a copy of the 1955 APPA season, not the original, but the reprinted set, and that's the one that's slightly rare, a little bit hard to find. For years, actually, it was considered to be a pretty rare and high-priced set. By the time I did have to finally sell it off, it wasn't quite as rare and quite as high priced anymore. I remember playing with that set a lot when I was a kid, and playing a lot of games, mostly games involving the Dodgers, trying to get them to win. I actually can remember cheating in games and doing those sort of mysterious re-rolls for guys who struck out with the bases loaded and 2 outs, and instead letting them roll one more time, trying to get to a home run. I don't really recommend playing APPA that way. That's probably not the right way to do it, but that's the way that I did it back when I was like 10 or 11 or 12 or however old I was. And I remember doing a whole bunch of different things back in those days. One thing that I do remember doing that I think you can't quite do the same way with these computer-based games is I remember taking the cards out into different piles and trying to figure out ways to redraft into my own type of teams, right? So I would get an envelope. I didn't have, there's really nice, I was going to say penny envelope. I don't think that's what it's called. There's little brown envelopes, just like the APPA envelopes. And instead, I used a bunch of sort of long form envelopes that I found somewhere in my parents' office, right? And write some like team name on the front or something like that. And then try to figure out a way to say to evenly distribute the players, right? Because you don't want to have a team that's like nothing but outfielders or a team that's nothing but catchers or whatever. So figure out different ways to sort of mix things up. And then as a result, you want to write like on the card itself the name of the team that the guy originally belongs with, because old APPA cards don't have that written on. I can remember doing that. I can remember coming up with these, absolutely crazy projects and then never really doing anything with them, right? Because I would get it going and I would think, okay, now I'm going to get this figured out, figure out the lineups and all this stuff. And I was too young. I was just a kid. I had no idea what I was doing. I was reading old issues of the APPA journal and trying to like keep track of everything and all that stuff. Anyway, since I sold this stuff, this is several years ago, but since I sold it on eBay, I do have pictures of it, right? I only have 2, but this is what the set was like in all of its glory. If you bought this from me, I do have a little bit of pity on you. I hope that it's in okay shape. These are the original envelopes. I mean, it's not that old, from 1991, copyright 1991, purchased in 92. You can tell this if you really know your APPA cards. I mean, this is not a great quality picture, but if you know the APPA cards, you know that these lineup sheets that only certain years had certain types of fonts on them, and this one is clearly a font from that little brief period of APPA history in which they used this kind of typewriter type font. I mean, you can't read it. It's not really a great quality picture, not designed for that. You can see that's my toe right there, which is important to look at. And the other thing you can see here is at some point in time, I was able to get copies of the Master Game symbols for the 55 set. I don't even know where I got those from, but they were part of the collection for some reason or other, and so I sold that along with it. And so there's your Master Game symbols, man. It's been so long since I've played the APPA Master Game like by hand that I would have to remind myself of all the rules. There's some things I do remember, but it's been a long, long time, and I never played this with the Master symbols. I used to play with the Brooklyn Dodgers. I played with the Cubs a lot with Ernie Banks, I remember, and I would play a lot, I think, with the Baltimore Orioles and a bit with the New York Yankees, of course. And that's really about all that I remember doing. I can remember playing a little bit with the Milwaukee Braves as well, who I always thought had a really good lineup and kind of wondered why they weren't better in real life. But the thing I was just talking about when it comes to the cards, you can see this a lot closer here in this picture I took. See, there you go. That's the handwriting from me when I was 8 or 9. And that's what I would do. I would put it in like this, so it would be easy to get these guys back to the team that they would need to go to, right? I remember that Ernie Banks is on the Cubs. That's not hard to remember, but it's a little bit harder to remember who Bob Speak plays for, right? Anyway, that's one of those little things about the history of these games that's kind of neat and kind of fun. And you just don't have that anymore when you don't have the cards, right? Now, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I know there are a lot of guys who've got their collection of cards and they wouldn't part for it for anything. I'm really kind of trying to stay away from having paper collections of stuff, right? Part of it is because I don't want to have the house too cluttered up. I already have 3 kids. We got kid stuff, all over the place. I have a little bit of my stuff, though. Honestly, I've cleaned up a whole lot of it. You can see actually the bookcase you see behind me this side used to be filled with books, and I got rid of most of them, switched over to ebooks, and haven't really looked back. And it's a funny thing, I didn't miss a lot of those books when I got rid of them. It's kind of funny how that works. I'd prefer not to have, reams upon reams of APPA cards sitting around, because I'm not a historian. I don't want to be a hoarder, and I don't want to have stuff sitting around that is not being used, right? Kind of not very practical. Part of it is that desire, and then the other part of it, of course, is that good old Marie Kondo approach to life, right? You might think that it's chick stuff, but actually, I really liked the book. I read it back 2017. I think it was late 2017 when I read it, and that's when I decided that I needed to clean up a lot of stuff in my life, and it takes a while, and sometimes you realize that there are other things in your life that aren't material that are dragging you down, that you're trying to get rid of and trying to improve and trying to take care of and all that stuff. And I tell you, though, when it comes to paper and stuff like this, you have the memories there, right? You look at the photos of it and you think, oh, this is a really cool thing. I'm happy that I had that. Out there somewhere, there's somebody who has this 1955 set that looks great, except for the scribbling on the bottom right-hand side of every card, right? Sorry. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, I used it, I played with it, and it's time to have it move on. I don't know. I might be a little bit idealistic. My wife says that I am. She's a lot more practical than I am. I tend to be like thinking with my heart a lot and stuff, and I like to think, oh, this thing that I once had that I cared about so much when I was a kid, well, I mean, if I had it again today, I almost certainly wouldn't be playing with it, right? Because I'd rather play Skeeter Soft, or I'd rather play a different game, and show you what's happening and all this stuff. But hopefully somewhere out there, the person who has these cards is, not just keeping care of them, but they're playing with them and they're letting the cards come out, sort of like one of those Toy Story movies. They're going to bring it out and they're going to enjoy it, and then they can move it on to the next generation or to the next person. Some other person will have it. Right. Now, I know that it's not practical, right? I know in my heart that, like, yeah, everybody who's got this stuff, most of it's just going to be sitting in somebody's, the corner somewhere. And the person who has it's never going to be looking at it again and whatever, I mean, I know that's the way that it really works. But there is part of me that thinks like that. There's part of me that thinks, yeah, man, maybe somebody out there like really cares about this and really needed it, and can't enjoy it the way that I did back when I was like a kid. So there you go. That's the world of APPA Set nostalgia for me. I do think that nostalgia is a thing that, while it does come naturally when you grow older, I think is a thing you have to be very, very careful with, because excessive nostalgia can trap you and put you in a place where you can't progress and you can't do anything because you're covered with the past. That's one of the reasons why I got rid of huge collections of books, because I thought I need to be able to break free of this. It's also, by the way, one of the reasons why I decided to start this blog and start this YouTube channel, because I thought, instead of me sitting around thinking these thoughts and thinking, oh man, I think I have something to say about this and something to say about that, I can just go out and say it, right? Let's go out and say it. Let's put it out there. Let's see if people like it. Sometimes people will watch and I feel really good. Sometimes nobody watches and I think, that one didn't work. So then we try a different thing the next day, I mean, that's the thing. Let's take what we have, take our experiences, take all the stuff that we love and all of these thoughts that we're thinking, let's put it to practical use and try to get out there, be part of a community and talk with people, instead of having it all around us at home and being surrounded by it and getting to the point where we can't escape, because it's all about personal connection. It's not about having a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, there you go. There's the philosophy for the day. I will let you off here, and hope you're having a good day. I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Bye.